The sun was beginning to set on Ipanema Beach on that Saturday afternoon, December 17, 1994, when Helena Carvalho noticed something strange in the sand near Posto Novo. The 28-year-old advertising executive was walking along the shoreline with her boyfriend, Andre Oliveira, when she stumbled upon something half-buried. As she bent down to investigate, her fingers touched something that sent chills down her spine. A small pink children's sneaker, still with a foot inside. Andre immediately called the lifeguards, who alerted the civil police. Within minutes, a small crowd gathered around the area as the police cordoned it off with yellow tape. What Helena had found was only the beginning of a discovery that would shock not only the people of Rio, but the entire country. Buried just a few inches below the surface were more shoes, children's clothes, and personal belongings of an entire family. Detective Carlos Mendez, a veteran of the Homicide Division, arrived at the scene at 7 p.m. with 52 years of experience. He had seen many disturbing cases, but this scene left him uneasy. The items found clearly belonged to a family. 2 pairs of adult women's shoes, 1 pair of men's shoes, 3 pairs of children's shoes of different sizes, as well as handbags, wallets, and toys. The identification of the belongings was swift. The wallets contained documents from the Santos family. Mariana Santos, a 29-year-old primary school teacher. Her husband Gabriel Santos, a 31-year-old accountant. And their 3 young children, Sofia, 8 years old, Miguel, 5, and little Alice, only 3. They all lived in the Copacabana neighborhood and had been reported missing exactly 6 months earlier. In June of that same year, Detective Mendez vaguely remembered the case. At the time, Gabriel Santos had been seen for the last time leaving home with his family for a weekend trip to the beach, something that was routine for them. When they did not return home on Sunday night, the family alerted the police. The initial search efforts were intense, but yielded no concrete leads. The case had gone cold over the months until this chilling discovery. The forensic team worked through the night. The area was carefully excavated, revealing that the belongings had been arranged deliberately, as if someone had intentionally buried them there. There were no signs of the bodies, only the personal items of the family. This discovery further intrigued investigators, as it suggested that the person responsible wanted the belongings to eventually be found. On the following Monday, Detective Mendez officially reopened the Santos case. He gathered his team, including investigators Rodrigo Almeida and Fernanda Lima, to review all the testimonies and evidence collected 6 months earlier. The first task was to re-interrogate everyone who had been in contact with the family in the days leading up to their disappearance. The investigation revealed that Gabriel Santos had been facing financial difficulties. His small accounting office had lost several important clients, and he was behind on paying rent for both his office and home. Mariana, in turn, worked at a municipal school, and her salary barely covered the family's basic expenses. The first suspect to be interrogated was Luis Barbosa, Gabriel's business partner in some failed real estate investments. Luis, a 45-year-old man with a history of involvement in dubious deals, had approached Gabriel multiple times in the weeks leading up to the disappearance, demanding payment of a 50,000 reals debt. During the new interrogation, Luis seemed nervous and contradictory. He claimed to have met Gabriel the Friday before the disappearance, but changed his story multiple times about the location and time of their meeting. According to neighborhood witnesses, Luis had been seen arguing heatedly with Gabriel at the door of his house on Thursday night, a day earlier than he had initially stated. Investigator Rodrigo Almeida discovered that Luis owned a small boat, anchored at Marina da Gloria. This piqued the team's interest, as it might explain how the bodies were disposed of without leaving traces on the beach. The boat was inspected, but no physical evidence was found, though it was clear that it had recently been cleaned with strong chemicals. Meanwhile, investigator Fernanda Lima focused on tracking the family's last movements. She found that on the morning of their disappearance, Mariana had withdrawn all the money available in the family's bank account, 200 reals. While modest, this amount represented nearly all of the Santos family's savings. Security camera footage from several nearby businesses was thoroughly analyzed. In one recording from the Saturday of the disappearance, Gabriel was seen walking alone down the sidewalk on Visconde de Peraja Street at 2 p.m., looking very nervous and constantly glancing over his shoulder. Mariana and the children were not seen in any of the footage. This discovery changed the course of the investigation. If Gabriel was alone that Saturday afternoon, where were his wife and children? Had the family really left together for the beach, as Gabriel had told the neighbors, or had that been a lie to cover up something more sinister? Detective Mendez ordered a more detailed search of the Santos family apartment. During a second inspection, the forensic experts found small blood stains in the bathroom that had been overlooked in the first investigation. The stains were located behind the toilet and had been partially cleaned, but were still detectable with chemical reagents. Laboratory analysis confirmed that the blood was human and matched Mariana Santos's blood type. This evidence strengthened the suspicion that something terrible had happened inside the family's own apartment, even before the supposed trip to the beach. The second suspect to be more deeply investigated was Wallace Miranda, a neighbor who lived next door to the Santos family. Wallace, a 36-year-old man who had been unemployed for over a year, had shown an excessive interest in Mariana in the months prior to her disappearance. Several neighbors reported that he would often watch Mariana when she returned from work, or played with the children in the building's playground. During the interrogation, Wallace denied any involvement in the disappearance, but admitted to hearing arguments coming from the Santos family's apartment the night before the disappearance. He stated that he had heard Gabriel shouting at someone, but he couldn't make out the words. When questioned as to why he hadn't mentioned this in the initial investigation, Wallace claimed to have forgotten due to nervousness. The investigation into Wallace revealed that he had a criminal record for domestic violence against his ex-wife. Additionally, it was discovered that he had been fired from his last job following accusations of sexual harassment against coworkers. These revelations painted a concerning profile and placed Wallace on the list of prime suspects. The third suspect emerged from an unexpected source. Amanda Pereira, a cleaning lady who worked in the Santos family's building, voluntarily went to the police station a week after the discovery of the belongings on the beach. She revealed information she had kept to herself for fear over the past 6 months. Amanda explained that on the morning of the disappearance, she had witnessed a violent argument between Gabriel and an unknown man in the building's parking lot. The man was tall, wore sunglasses, and drove a dark car. Amanda overheard the unknown man threaten Gabriel, saying his family would pay if he didn't settle a debt by the end of the day. The description provided by Amanda didn't match either. Luis Barbosa or Wallace Miranda, suggesting that there might be a third person involved in the case. The cleaning lady also revealed that she had seen Gabriel leave the building alone around 1 p.m., carrying a large suitcase and looking panicked. The clues were piling up, but the mystery remained. If you're trying to solve this case with me, leave your theory in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. Detective Mendez decided to broaden the investigation to include potential connections between Gabriel Santos and loan sharks and criminals involved in illegal lending. The family's desperate financial situation may have led Gabriel to seek money from dangerous sources, putting the whole family at risk. The investigation into Gabriel's phone records revealed numerous calls to unidentified numbers in the weeks before the disappearance. Many of these calls were made during the night, suggesting that Gabriel was under extreme pressure and stress. One of the numbers was traced to Everton Tells, a well-known loan shark operating in the southern zone of Rio de Janeiro. Everton had an extensive criminal record, including extortion, threats, and forming a criminal gang. When located by the police, he initially denied knowing Gabriel Santos, but eventually admitted to lending money to him after being confronted with the phone records. Everton revealed that Gabriel had borrowed 25,000 reals 3 months before the disappearance, promising to pay it back in 60 days with a 10% monthly interest rate. When the deadline passed, Gabriel was unable to repay the debt, which had grown to 40,000 reals due to the interest and penalties. The loan shark confirmed that he had sent collectors to pressure Gabriel, but denied any direct involvement in the family's disappearance. He claimed that his threats were only meant to scare people, but never included physical violence against the debtor's family. Everton provided an alibi for the time of the disappearance, claiming to have been in Basios with his girlfriend. Investigation of Everton's alibi confirmed his version. Hotel records and staff testimonies confirmed that he had been in Basios throughout the weekend in question. However, this did not rule out the possibility that he had ordered his subordinates to take action against Gabriel and his family. 2 of Everton's collectors were identified and interrogated, Bruno Ferreira and Diego Araujo, both with records of violence and intimidation. Bruno, 29, admitted to visiting Gabriel the Friday before the disappearance, but claimed that they had only discussed payment options. Diego, the younger of the 2 at 24, denied any direct contact with the Santos family. An analysis of Gabriel's bank transactions revealed something intriguing. On the Friday before the disappearance, he had transferred 15,000 reals and $1,000 to an account belonging to a man named Leonardo Correa, who lived in Niterói. This transaction represented nearly all the money Gabriel had managed to gather. By selling his few valuable possessions, Leonardo was located and interrogated. He introduced himself as a real estate intermediary and confirmed receiving the money from Gabriel as a down payment for the purchase of a small apartment in Niterói. According to Leonardo, Gabriel had planned to move the family away from Rio de Janeiro to start a new life, far from creditors and threats. However, Leonardo revealed that the deal had not been finalized because Gabriel had failed to show up for the scheduled meeting on the following Monday, when they were supposed to sign the final contract. The broker said he had tried to contact Gabriel several times, but never received a response. This information suggested that Gabriel had indeed planned to escape with his family, but something had prevented him from executing the plan. The lingering question was, what had happened? Between Friday, when the money was transferred, and Saturday, when the family disappeared, investigator Rodrigo Almeida had an intuition and decided to revisit the Santos family apartment once again. During this third search, he noticed something that had been overlooked earlier. Marks on the bedroom floor indicated that heavy furniture had been recently dragged. Upon moving the wardrobe, the team discovered a small area of the floor that had been recently repaired. When they broke open the floor in that area, they found a small metal box buried beneath it, containing the family's personal documents, Mariana's jewelry, and a sum of money. Exactly the remaining 10,000 reals from the money Gabriel had gathered. Along with the items was a handwritten letter from Gabriel, dated the Friday before the disappearance. In the letter, he confessed to having gotten involved with dangerous people and expressed his fear that his family would suffer the consequences of his choices. He wrote about escape plans and apologized to Mariana for the difficulties he had caused. The letter also mentioned that Gabriel had discovered that Luis Barbosa, his former business partner, was working with loan sharks and had deliberately sabotaged his businesses to force him to seek illegal loans. Gabriel wrote that he had arranged a meeting with Luis to confront him about this betrayal. With this new evidence, Detective Mendez ordered the preventive detention of Luis Barboza. During the new interrogation, confronted with Gabriel's letter, Luis finally confessed his version of the events. He admitted to orchestrating Gabriel's loss of clients and pushing him into debt, facilitating loans from loan sharks, from which he personally received commissions. However, he denied having killed Gabriel or his family. According to his version, Gabriel had discovered the scheme and blackmailed him, threatening to expose everything to the police. The night before the disappearance, Luis claimed to have met Gabriel at the family's apartment to try to negotiate a solution. The discussion escalated into a physical fight, during which Gabriel allegedly fell and hit his head, dying instantly. Mariana, who witnessed the scene, supposedly fell into despair. According to Luz's confession, Mariana threatened to call the police, but he convinced her that both of them would be harmed if the case came to light. He claimed to have persuaded Mariana to flee with the children to another state, promising to help her financially if she kept silent about his involvement in Gabriel's death. Luis confessed to having helped Mariana leave the city in the early hours of Saturday, taking her, the children, to the Novo Rio bus station. He said he gave her enough money to settle somewhere else and start a new life. As for Gabriel's body, Luis claimed to have disposed of it at sea using his boat. However, this version didn't explain why the family's belongings were buried on Ipanema Beach or the blood found in the apartment's bathroom. Confronted with these inconsistencies, Luis changed his version once again. In the third version, Luis finally admitted that he had not only killed Gabriel, but also the entire family. He confessed that the argument with Gabriel had escalated into a fight in which Mariana tried to defend her husband. In the struggle, both Gabriel and Mariana ended up dead accidentally. The children, who had been sleeping, woke up to the noise and witnessed the scene. Desperate and panicked, Luis said he made a terrible decision to eliminate the witnesses. He confessed to having killed the 3 children and disposed of all the bodies at sea, using his boat during the night. Luis explained that he had buried the family's belongings on the beach to create a false lead, making it appear as though the family had disappeared during a beach outing. He hoped that if the bodies were found at sea, the investigation would focus on accidental drowning or a crime committed by unknown individuals on the beach. Luz's confession was corroborated by technical evidence. Forensic analysis confirmed that fibers found on his boat were consistent with the clothes the Santos family had worn the day of the disappearance. Additionally, more detailed analysis of the blood found in the apartment confirmed it belonged not only to Mariana, but also to Gabriel. Luis Barboza's trial took place 8 months after his arrest. He was convicted of 5 counts of qualified homicide, concealment of bodies, and forming a criminal gang for loan sharking. He was sentenced to 120 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after serving at least 30 years. The Santos case became a landmark in Brazilian criminal investigations, demonstrating how financial debts and desperation can lead to irreversible tragedies. The discovery of the family's belongings on the beach by Helena Carvalho was crucial in reopening a case that might have remained unsolved forever. The bodies of the Santos family were never found, but their memories were preserved through a memorial created by the community in Copacabana. Mariana is remembered as a dedicated teacher who touched the lives of hundreds of children. Gabriel, despite his mistakes, is remembered as a loving father who tried to protect his family until the end. The 3 children, Sofia, Miguel, and Alice, are honored annually at their respective schools, where their names have been given to classrooms and libraries. The tragedy served as a warning about the dangers of illegal lending and the violence that can result from unpayable debts. Helena Carvalho, the young woman who made the discovery on the beach, became an activist for missing families, helping others find lost relatives. She always says that moment on Ipanema Beach completely changed her perspective on life and the importance of seeking justice for victims of violent crimes. Detective Carlos Mendez retired 2 years after solving the Santos case, considering it one of the most impactful of his career. In interviews, he always emphasizes that perseverance in investigations and the importance of never prematurely closing a case were crucial in achieving justice. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. If you liked the case, click on like and write in the comments where you're listening from. Enjoy and watch the next video.